Hey, Soltigo, thanks for the countdown here on lichess and Twitch. A couple of minutes late. I was working right up to the start of the stream. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll start playing poker and video games on the side. Supplement my subscribers here on Twitch. Anyway, guys, but my true love is chess, no matter what we do. I can't deny it. We're here to play and analyze some chess games, so it just wouldn't be the same if I did video games. I don't think that I would have the, it's just not in my heart. Chess is in my soul, so you can feel my love for chess when I do the stream. How deeply I am into the game. So anyway, guys, welcome to the subscriber stream today. It's Thursday. Back to the Thursday schedule. We've got subscriber stream. It is 7 p.m., a little after 7 p.m. here, Central European summertime. And I'm trying to get comfortable in my new chair. Not new, but almost new. You feel too much love. You can't have too much love, man. Okay, so the theme of the day is game analysis. I've got some submissions from Paschall Rabbit Chess, Acerbate, Only Stupid Names, Clash Kid. You guys who are subscribers are welcome to submit games for analysis. Chess 960, 720, 60 only. What does that mean? 720, 60 only. You're talking about, I thought you were talking about Chess 960. And he's like talking about the, he's talking about the video, I guess, resolution. All right. Drinking a beer, relaxing here with you guys. There's some kind of Rapid Shield arena on. I mean, I'd love to play in one of these tournaments. Just no time. All right. So what do we got here? We want to start with a warm-up game against Troll on a Roll. I'm only going to play like 1 or 2 games, but, I had a really good walk today, a little while before the stream. Got the blood flowing. Got to have better blood circulation to the brain. My friend Zlatko Linčić, grandmaster from Serbia, he would religiously take like walks before the tournament games. When you're younger, okay, you're kind of like, well, that doesn't matter that much. But I don't know. I have the feeling that maybe blood circulation to the brain actually helps. Knight F3. I feel a little fresher after that long walk. What's up, guys? Tushar, thanks for subscribing. Soltigo, thanks for being our moderator. Acerbate, Troll on a Roll, Clash Kid, thank you for subscribing, guys. We're back to our standard hyper modern style, developing knights on move 1, but I'm not going to let him push me around. That bishop on h1, this looks like a Catalan where my king is like stuck on the queen side. If I could just castle king side, I'd be very happy. If I could just put my king on like g1, that would be much more natural. Then I could affect the c4 break without weakening my king position. Did the bit thing reset now? It's a new month. It did reset. Koi TV made a donation. I don't know. I guess it was Tuesday. I'm gonna say it was Tuesday. It could have been yesterday morning. Now I can't remember. But it had reset. It resets on Monday morning. But Koi TV is out in front with 5,500. Now c5, very aggressive move from Troll. Here I am talking about, not jeopardizing the safety of my king, and he's just like, dude, c5. So I have Queen f4 check. Queen f4 check. Oh man, this looks good. Okay, I feel comfortable playing endgames. I made comments about Troll, how he doesn't seem to calculate very much, yet he played this move quickly. Man, maybe I missed something. Did he seriously calculate this? Well, he has 96, you know, I didn't even consider it. My goodness. I think we made a very serious error. Okay, one thing I know for sure is that I don't have enough self-confidence of late. I haven't had like a lot of successful tournament games. It seems like my confidence is kind of low. Rook d6, my gosh, he gets away with this. I overlooked 96. He didn't calculate anything. He's just lucky. You could have just like calmly traded queens, but instead you played rook d6. I guess he's calculating that he's down a pawn after queen c7, chop chop, d takes c5, so he felt he was like obligated to play rook d6. Now I feel like my queen is just out in random land for no good reason. Now I'm actually giving him time. This is like, I'm teaching you guys what not to do. Learn from my mistakes. What was this Nosko Borovsky? Where's Nefedov? He knows all these like Russian chess authors. It's Nosko Borovsky, How Not to Play Chess. I think there was a book called that. Now seriously, you're going to play that? Disappointing me, troll. Failure to calculate. He's got two good moves. It appears that knight g6 might be adequate. Of course, if knight g6, I could swing over and try to hang on to that pawn in an awkward way. But he has knight e6. After knight e6, I failed to find something convincing. Knight e6 developing with tempo and double attacking the c5 pawn. It appears to be okay for black, and maybe more than okay. But this move is just like bishop e4. Why do you stream in 60 FPS? I didn't change anything. Are you intimating that like, something's different? I've got 8 FPS. According to my OBS. Right now it's 8 FPS, not 60 FPS. Again, you fell for the same queen f4. The same queen f4? It's no way I had the exact same position. Too sharp. No way. Something similar, maybe, but there's no way I had the exact same position. I don't believe it. He's just lost his mind. We just upped the exchange. Roaches get in, but they don't get out. Do you guys know about the Roach Motel? Do they have Roach Motels in other countries as well? He's got the intermezzo, the nasty bishop b5 to save his life. So g3, knight takes e2, rook e1. Welcome to bishop b5. So I can play anything. I mean, e3 is just good. You hear who won the Grinky Open? Okay, 13 years old, I am 8 out of 9. I mean, where is the guy from? Is he German? I don't want to be like a naysayer, but I was thinking about something the other day when I heard this. A lot of people say that there's no luck in chess, like chess is a skill game. But if you think about it, there's a lot of luck. You know, there really is a lot of luck in tournament chess. I mean, I don't mean to like take away from this guy's insane achievement, but this is why the candidates tournament is not really a good system for determining like who's going to be the challenger for the world championship. If you think about it, like there's so much luck that goes into like winning a tournament. Like I was looking for a game, let's say I was looking to find the best games from the European Individual Championship this past week for some videos for chesslecture.com. I literally like looked at the winners' games. Ivan Saric. I looked at all the guys' games. I didn't like any of his games. Like he won the tournament and I didn't find one game that I thought was like really good. So you ask yourself, How does Ivan Saric win the like European Championship? And I don't really find any of his games very good. I mean, the truth is that there's a lot of luck involved. Maybe like 3 of his opponents like blundered, you know. 3 of his opponents blundered, but nobody else did. I mean, there's a lot of like little things that go into these sort of results. So I just don't think the tournament chess. The winner of the tournament didn't necessarily he didn't have to play that well. There's still a lot of luck that goes into it. I mean, a score like 8 out of 9 in a tournament like that's pretty insane. G6. Troll is not giving up. Troll, give up already. He's being stubborn. You say chess is 100% luck and 20% skill. So this guy was born November 2004, a German chess player. Better to play poker if you have much luck. I don't have any luck. That's why I suck at poker. Or at least my results suck, or had sucked in the last couple of years. My luck is like horrendous. That's why my ELO rating is down too. I'm like cursed or something. I have terrible luck. Absolutely terrible luck. I mean, maybe we have luck for certain things. Like we don't have luck in love. We don't have luck in money, but we have luck in health or something like that. You know, maybe that's how it works. We just have luck in certain phases of life, but not others. I have a problem here. Troll is not giving up. He's not rolling over and dying like he's supposed to. I'm a little bit annoyed with that. He's supposed to just drop the exchange and like resign, but he's fighting on. Now he's got a monster square on d4. This is irritating. Man, I don't know. I better start thinking. He's got knight g4, knight e4. All right. World Poker Champion. But I'm serious, man. There's no title in poker. Well, yeah, I mean, like you're the title of the tournament you won, champion of the World Series of Poker or whatever. But I don't agree with the argument that there's no luck. There's an awful lot of luck that goes into winning tournaments, man. If you think about it, maybe you have 3 opponents that played like absolute crap against you in the final 3 rounds of the European Championship. This is not skill. This is luck. And also who you get paired with. Very important is to calculate who you get paired with. There's just absolutely no way that pairings are fair. It's physically impossible. Like, no way that pairings will ever absolutely be fair. Troll, like, he's faster and he's like tenacious. My God. Most people get discouraged when they drop an exchange on move 5, but he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it and kill him. And he's fast too. You need to play more. Play the bad hands. I mean, I'm not playing much. I play once a week with a very strong home game, but anyway, I'm not talking about poker here on the stream. Not my reason for streaming. You need money to play poker. It's a different game. You can't play poker with no money. I'm broke, you know. Knight takes d4. What are you doing, Troll? Why are you trading this stuff? Also, you could win this measly pawn. I think he's pretty good, the Troll. But he cashed in a lot of his chips. It's a good joke for today's. After what we've been talking about, I thought cashed in your chips is kind of humorous. But seriously, I don't know. It feels like Troll cashed in a little bit too early here. He had a big initiative going on, and trading down all that stuff almost makes my job a little easier. Now he's got a pawn for the exchange. Now he's taking on h1 though. Another trade. Like, is that really a good idea? You're down material and you're trading pieces. Admittedly, black has some counterplay here, but I'm not convinced he was right to make these exchanges. He is going to reach a kind of tough fortress. He may be able to create a kind of tough fortress here. Maybe, maybe not. I can castle queenside. Extremely good developing, extremely good developing move. I can bring my king to the center. I love this castling idea here. King c1 plus rook d1. We approve everything. Anyway, all right. The guy has an insane performance. Admittedly, I haven't seen his games, but I bet if you take it apart, he's got some serious luck. That's an insane result for an unheralded IM to win a tournament like that. I mean, the other thing that happens, oftentimes unheralded 14-year-old IMs, the other luck that they get is that people don't respect them. The lower rated player doesn't get the respect, and then they go through a period where people like consistently underestimate them. That will stop happening now with this particular guy. He's not going to get any more like people not taking him seriously because he's a 24-40 IM and he's 12 years old or whatever. The end of the days of people not taking him seriously. So now it's going to get a little tougher, but still, that's insane. That's a crazy, crazy result. Not a GM to win that tournament. I don't care if he's 12 or 70. You know, for a player who's not a GM to win a tournament and open that strong is really, really unusual. 17-year-old Polgar. Troll is putting up his best resistance. Okay, this move I don't quite understand, but it may not be that bad. I can improve my king, I can improve my rook, I can weaken his pawns, but it's still hard to break through. I still haven't come up with a winning plan here. Maybe a4, a5, I was thinking. That doesn't go anywhere though. I mean, I'm not going to really make progress by playing a4, a5. It seems like I need to make progress on the king side. Wedging a pawn on h6 in some position. A surprising exchange sacrifice, perhaps. Troll might have gone too far, weakening too many pawns, putting too many pawns on the white squares here. It appears. You know, I thought it might be necessary to play f6 and h6 in some critical moment to keep my king out. Now my king can get in here to g5. If he needs his king to come over here, then it's not going to be able to cover the b7 pawn. After rook f5, you can forget about it. Any temptation to play this move is resigns. This is a long game, guys. We're going to get to some game analysis now. I've got games from Tushar, Acerbate, Only Stupid Names, Clash Kid. Anybody else who's a subscriber can submit a game to be analyzed. Fischer got a flawless victory in the US Championship. Super dank fire. He won all of his games. Like, wasn't it like 11-0? He won a US Championship with a perfect score, which I think never was repeated by anybody. How about rook f6? Oh, it was his move. It was your move? Master, how did you have that move? I wish it was only my move. I would have had him. Now I can't get there. I can't get there in time. You can't do everything, though. Can't cover everything. H5, not really where you want your pawn. You can't keep me out of G5 now. Right? Now I'm going to G5. Now we go to G5. We got break on through to the other side. He dropped a piece. He's not calculating. Alright. That is it for Mr. Troll, guys. Way to fight, though. I mean, he was like down massively after dropping exchange in the opening. Queen F4 is a good move, according to the engine. But not necessarily the best move. D takes C5. So, Queen F4 check. I thought I made a mistake. Whoa. So apparently this rope-a-dope 96 Queen H4 leaves H7 problem. I failed to calculate far enough. I'm criticizing Troll, but that wins a piece. And I'm threatening to just win a piece here with Queen takes H7. How does that even work, Master? Alright. Perfect game. Not quite. I've got another challenge for Juicebox Wizard. Maybe we'll get to that later in the stream. Why do I stream in 60 FPS, dude? I don't know. My OBS says I'm streaming in 8 FPS here. Okay. I don't know about the technical aspects of it. Ask the moderator. Has a sad look. I haven't seen the little guy. Is there any substance to make one brain? Yes, oxygen. Tushar. Oxygen and blood. Okay, guys. Let's get to some games to analyze. Okay, Soltigo adds himself to the list. Oxygen, blood, and water. These things will help your brain. Caffeine, okay. Alright, where are we? So Rabbit Chess was first. He says, I seriously need your help in the endgame technique of this game. I got totally outplayed, even if the engine didn't like my position anywhere in the game. Please tell me about the endgame. I don't think the opening needs much attention. Okay, let's take a look. Tushar versus Siddhartha. Maybe it's fellow Indian guy. Alright. E4, E6. Tushar is white. E4, E6, D4, D5, Knight C3. He said not to focus on the opening. Okay, this is a weird move. It's not that bad. It's probably equal. Yeah, the bishop F3 has been played. Anyways, he said not to focus on the opening. We won't. Okay, basically it's equal. Black plays C5. Black played very well. He breaks the center. Extremely strong move. Equalizing, I guess. The guy made no inaccuracies, no mistakes, no blunders. However, his center pawn loss was 18, which is a little high for a computer. Bishop D3. Saving your bishop, preserving the bishop pair, but for how long? I mean, basically this knight might be coming to C5. A theater near you. C takes D, knight takes D4, bishop C5. See, the problem is I was expecting like knight C5, but then C3 is complicated. So bishop C5, knight B3, bishop D6. I'll try to move the mouse away from the microphone so I don't click you guys to death. It is a little loud. Are you suspecting this guy of using an engine or something, Tushar? Just let me know. I'll look at it in a different light, but he's played well. You've played well, though. I think this move is a bit odd, though, putting the queen on D2. Computer likes it. Okay. Typically, I would think that E2 would be a more usual square in this sort of Rubinstein... well, actually, what is it? It's like a Rubinstein Nimzo, basically. Queen d2. Why queen d2 or queen e2? Why do you prefer d2? Why does the engine prefer d2 to say e2, r2, d2? e2 focuses on the e5 square. I see him controlling the e5 square here, and like we need to fight for that somehow. He's not a cheater, okay. I know that you're as paranoid as I am, so I just want to make sure that's not an option. Queen d2, yeah, why not queen e2? I don't know, I mean, how do you decide? I think that clearing the queen off the d file seems logical too. Eventually you're going to want to like bring a rook to the d file. Queen e2 is more typical. We also have batteries with like queen e4 later on should his knight move away from f6. So queen d2, e5. Okay, he could have probably played that anyway, even if queen e2. You know, but this is a typical kind of move that it weakens a lot of squares in this position. Okay, we're gonna just continue to the end game because this is what Tushar really wants me to focus on. White's development slightly better. Rook e1, all the pieces are out, and then e4. Just the position, basically. Both sides, no major advantage. Suddenly there's this very nasty knight coming to c4, which I don't really like, thus regretting queen d2. Now we wish we had played queen e2. Queen h5. We're not to the endgame yet. Okay, welcome to the endgame. So what's going on here? Why is black better in this position? Look at the engine giving us 0.6. Let's try to understand why black's better here. I mean, material is equal, kings are equal. Black has a bit more space with e4. There's a let's say imbalance in the pawn structure. 3 against 2 on the queen side, 4 against 3 on the king side. Typically, there's two ways that can go down. One, white could create a passed pawn on the queen side with his majority of pawns and have the advantage. Two, black could actually execute a minority attack on the queen side, breaking white's pawn structure and creating a superior, you know, pawn structure or a weakness in white's camp on the queen side, and then thus getting the advantage. It's striking how big black's advantage is of like 0.7 here. The knight on c4 seems to be the most important factor. This entrenched knight in your camp, along with the extra space with e4. But basically being tied down to b2 is a problem. Also, the other problem is your knight on b3. So, Mr. Dvoretsky said, if you don't know what to do, improve your worst piece, basically. Not so easy to do here. Because knight d2 drops a pawn. Or at least it would like destroy our structure. You know, I mean, the move you really want to play is prophylactic move or a defensive move here. Okay, it's black's move in any case. Knight h5. Maybe I'm not that concerned about losing the bishop here, but that's going to be an advantage for white, for black in a sense. But I want to get rid of the knight on c4, and I want to reduce his advantage effectively. So I was looking for ways to play knight d2, but we can't, right? Because of knight takes b2, rook b1. And then it would be okay, but this pawn is a weakness as well. So that's the end of the queen side. We cannot get rid of the knight on c4. You found knight f5, knight takes g3. And then difficult decision you can take with the knight and put pressure on e4 with the knight on a bad square. Or you can leave the knight, you know, or you can leave the knight on f5 on an active square and play h takes g toward the center. He chooses to play knight takes, and then here black, with no good way of protecting the pawn, decides to play e3. Apparently the best move. Now you played rook e1. Maybe it's slower maintenance to play pawn takes pawn. Okay, Clash Kid has a suggestion, which is obviously very big question, you know. Knight takes g3, h takes g3 toward the center. Clash Kid is a good endgame player, Tushar, so I respect his opinion. I don't classify this as like a bad version of doubled pawns. I wouldn't classify h takes g as like a weakness or a worsening of the white pawn structure, you know, like many sets of doubled pawns. I don't think this is negatively impacting the evaluation of our position. And Clash Kid's idea is to eliminate the knight on c4 with knight e3. I think there's something to be said for this, but not all hope is lost here for black, because he can take over the file with rook e8. This may be critical. You have an h2 square, which is horrible to have to go there, but in case of back rank mate, you could go there. No, Clash Kid, I don't know. It's really hard to pick, you know, knight takes or h takes. e3, what if you just take? You know, I mean, I think this is our first question. Why not just take on e3? I mean, you basically achieved what you wanted to achieve. You know, in a sense, you were pressuring e4, you eliminated the pawn. So this is the most obvious move. What is he going to do? He can't play knight takes because of rook e1, you win a piece. He has to now trade another set of pieces with rook takes e3. That's also good for you. Rook takes e3, rook takes e3, knight takes e3, rook on the 7th, I guess. He has a strong bishop for the endgame, and his knight is active, but it's hard for him to attack b2, which is the base, you know, the basis of your pawn chain. So again, oh, it's not hard for me. He has knight c4. Okay, this would be forced then. Rook takes b7, knight takes b2, rook takes a7, rook takes c3. Technical ending that I wouldn't want to play like Carlsen in this position. But really, there shouldn't be enough material left. You know, there really shouldn't be enough material left here for black to win. It's not easy. It really shouldn't be a win. But I mean, we're seeing so many strong players like win games in drawn positions because there isn't a lot of time left in the time controls that we're playing today. 90 minutes for 40 moves, sudden death 30. You know, this I was thinking about the other day. Why are we seeing so many games like Karyakin beating, you know, Caruana in the equal position? Looking at the Grenke tournament from this past round, like there was one game, I don't remember which one, where one player lost like a trivial endgame that should have been a draw. Caruana won another game that's like definitely a dead draw, you know, because of the time control. I mean, 30 years ago when it was like 40-2, 20-1, sudden death 1. I mean, when we were playing 7-hour time controls, people didn't lose, like grandmasters didn't lose drawn positions as much as they're losing them today. Maybe people's endgame technique is getting worse, but I think that the time control is a big factor. Basically, grandmasters are losing drawn endgames because they don't have enough time on the clock. You know, I don't really think it's a good thing, but you know, people think that it makes the sport more exciting. Anyways, so we have to be practical. You did this way is okay too. He trades a set of rooks. You take g6. This is a strong move, putting his pawns on white squares, taking away f5. You know, you have a slight disadvantage, but you still haven't gotten rid of that guy. You have a bad knight on b3. You've got to get rid of that knight, but this knight is like stuck on b3. What is it doing? Anything we try to do, though, if we try to get fancy, it's like bishop c5, and that's probably like slightly better for black, I guess. But I seriously don't think this should be like a losing position. There you did get in your knight d4. And the idea is pretty obvious. You're going to play b3. And I don't think he's challenging you with the move knight d6. In fact, it's kind of a weird move. You know, why is he suddenly retreating his knight voluntarily? And what are you doing with this move? If you want to know what you did wrong, okay, I don't understand knight g3. I really don't understand. Your knight is in the center of the board. He's challenging it But knight g3 is the first concretely bad move I've seen you play in this game. I don't understand, you know, moving your knight away from the center in this position. There's no way you're going to benefit from knight g3. This is a strange move. You got to play this position. The computer's talking about g4. I think that's kind of controversial. I don't trust Stockfish and endgame play. I would err on the side of caution probably with white here. Maybe even h3, you know. Don't want to move these pawns necessarily. It's a minority of pawns. I mean, it's not a strength. I wouldn't want to push them. Though if you take here, bishop takes d6, you got to do something. Maybe you don't have to immediately, because bishop takes h2, you can play g3 and trap his bishop. But it's only a matter of time until he plays h5, and it'll be like bishop takes h2, g3, h4, and a very complicated position. So what it boils down to is you have to make a decision about your king side. My gut instinct is to play h3 and put the pawns on the white squares. It's possible there are other ways to defend, but this is my preference here. I don't want to have stuck on the wrong color. And then he can play like bishop c5. And then we can look at stuff like king e3, rook check, king d3, rook takes. Kind of a complicated endgame. You could even play king takes maybe, but I don't think so. I think you have to take with the knight. The thing is, your king is pretty strong here. King f6, king e4, or maybe king c4. Yeah, king c4, king d5. With that strong king position, I don't think you should lose. Even though he has a better minor piece, you're actually standing better. So knight g3 too sharp. This is a really bad move. f5. I'm not saying that's a good move though. It's a natural move in some sense, but he's weakening e6, so it's sort of a little bit surprising. Stockfish actually calling for this move f5. I don't know, if I were black I would play something safer. Even maybe h5 in this position looks to me like better. So anyway, welcome move 11. What's up, guys? Alright, so I saw one bad move. Now we have a danger here in the e4 square becoming a problem. I mean, is h3 really necessary in this position? I don't know what you're doing. You know, there's no bishop attacking h3, h2 now. How bad is this, by the way? Like knight check, you drive his king up, but you take his powerful bishop out. Takes, rook takes. I mean, I would be pretty disappointed if I lost this position with white against Magnus. You know, it's slightly better for black, but I don't think you should lose. White would have to grovel a little bit, because now we've driven his king to a good position. But I still would be very angry with myself if I didn't hold a draw here against a world-class player. It's just not enough that white should be able to win this position. So you have to make a decision here what to do. f5, h3, b5. He's creating more weaknesses, essentially, after that move. Okay, king f3 I don't mind. It's an improving move. And then knight f1. Okay, watch out for this square. He can't do it, he drops a pawn. This is a good move too, trading material, trading pawns. The more pawns we can trade, the closer we get to a draw. And that pawn is weak. If you trade off the queen side, you really shouldn't lose with 3 against 2 on the same side either. Bishop takes b2, knight takes b2. This is a dead draw. Of course you can lose even a dead drawn position. I think here I'm just not on the same page. I think at this point you just forget about this pawn. I mean, we don't really want to lose it, but I don't think you... I think this is an unrealistic move in a way. You know, a4. I don't think you're going to be able to queen that pawn, but okay, you can try. a4, rook c3. I think at this point you have to try to make a draw. He's got a strong minor piece in that bishop on g7. It's like a theoretical advantage. He also has a better pawn structure with 3 against 2 and you have an Isolani, the A2 pawn is essentially a weakness. And I think you need to realize that you're not better here. And you just need to focus on drawing the game. So I would just chop pawns and try to make a draw. Even if you lose the A2 pawn, you should still be able to draw. You know, Tushar, there are games where I've had like rook and knight against rook, knight, and bishop. I mean, there's a pretty good chance that even if black were to play perfectly, you could reach some kind of ending like rook and knight versus rook, knight, and bishop. I mean, I think that's a good question. I had the feeling it's probably a draw. Maybe somebody can look this up. But even if it's not a draw, it's very difficult to play. Rook and knight versus rook, knight, and bishop. I think I had that in at least one game. But it shouldn't even come to that point. I mean, you just shouldn't lose this position. So A4 here. Now there's danger. This is a strange move for me. You know, he's pinning you and you're taking protection away from the pin piece. The engine likes your move though. What choice do you have? What choice do we have? Knight D5. Why not play this? I think I would just give up on the A4 pawn. I don't care about that anymore. I'm just going to try to make a draw. Alright, rook D2 here. Rook D7. You found an active plan though. Rook D7, King E6. What? Okay, rook takes G7, rook takes E3 check. This was a bad move. Why do we have to go passive with the king? My first question is King F4. He has a check on E4. And then you have King F3, Knight D2 check, losing a piece. Or maybe King G5. But it's important to always consider playing as actively as possible with your king. It looks like this is actually a draw. Active play with the king is almost always better. But I guess you could have put your king on a different square here. Instead of G2, you can play King F2. I mean, it's sort of hard to believe that King G2 is like losing or something. F4. So I guess this is the technical part of the ending that Tushar, you know, is kind of asking about. You're focused on winning. Crying out loud, he was 1300. Well, he's not a 1300. I mean, he can say what he wants, but he's 2042 and he plays like a FIDE 2000. So I don't care if his rating is 1300. He's not a 1300. Rook takes H7. So how do we lose here? Knight D2, setting yourself up for some kind of weird mating net. Even here, it's not lost. Here. You can't think about winning in a position where winning is like not realistic. You know, when you played A4, I thought it was kind of maybe not a bad move, but it showed that you were thinking about winning. And you need to think about just saving this position. Rook H8, you didn't recognize the danger. But I think this is the easiest way to draw. It looks like rook takes E3 check, King F4, rook E4 check, King G5. It looks scary because black has F4. But at the same time, your knight can stop the pawn, and he could drop both of his pawns and actually lose now. So if you're thinking about winning, this is probably the closest you're getting at this point. Now you may be seriously almost winning. But this should be a draw. Looks like he should just not play F4. Stay active with your king. King G2. Surprising that this is a mistake, I admit. Rook takes H7 here. So it looks like he's got some coordination. This is the point where I guess you had to be like super precise not to lose. Okay, I mean, it's not easy in the fast time control. Huh. Knight C6, F3 check. Even with the best move, apparently, you're in deep, deep trouble. F3 check, king here. Knight E4 check. Okay, I'm regurgitating computer moves. But this looks like it's queening. Oh, it's some sick position. You've got to sacrifice You got to sacrifice a queen, basically. You take here, f1 queen, and then play this position here. Wow. King takes e4. Or you have knight d4 check, coordinating. Oh my god. This is nuts. King d5, rook d7 check. Even if it's lost, it's a really difficult position to play. What is this? Knight d6, knight b5. Imagine this position. Probably it's lost. It'll be some kind of queen and rook endgame at the end. But okay, not easy. Anyway, there was a lot of points where you could improve your play, Tushar. It's not that much of a mystery. But I think most importantly, realizing that you're worse. You know, it's like admitting that you're an alcoholic. You have to say, "I've got a problem," you know, in order to solve it. I think you didn't want to admit that you were worse, and that was, maybe you misevaluated the position. That's more important than not finding the right, you know, moves. You have to know that you're worse in order to, you know, make a draw from a worse position. You were a little optimistic. Okay, guys, next game, Acerbate. Horrible, really don't know what I was thinking. Alright, guys. Time. Well, I mean, that's what I'm talking about with the top level tournament games. Why are so many dead drawn positions like being lost that I see? Really boring games. And Caruana winning against who was it? The other day there was a Caruana game that was a draw that he won. You had like a minute on the clock. Okay. Mappy Sama against Acerbate. Thanks guys for joining me. This is a subscriber stream, so I'm going over subscribers' games. If you're a subscriber, you can submit a game to analyze. It wasn't such a bad game. I mean, the end game was kind of, the very end was a very tricky situation. You would have had to play for perfect moves to either defend that rook and knight against queen, or else maybe find a maneuver to stop the pawn. So here, Acerbate, I think that honestly, I really don't personally, you know, I don't really personally like the lines with knight c6 for black against the c3 Sicilian. I like d4 right away. C takes d5, takes, hold on a second. Are we in the right position here? Queen takes d5, knight f3. Right. Bishop g4, knight c3. Let me turn on my opening book. Okay, I don't know this particular variation. Knight c3, bishop takes f3, and then, wow, I think I saw this once. I've never played this with black, and I don't play the c3 with white, but knight takes d5, apparently only played in 5 games. Bishop takes d1. Kaidanov against this kid, Paschall. It's only 2,300 then. Now he's a GM. Knight c7 check, king somewhere. Knight takes a8, bishop h5. I think I went over this game on the stream once, like weeks ago or months ago. Okay, anyway, there's a lot to memorize here. It's not really a safe variation for black. But I think you should go ahead and play d4 straight up. Alright. You see the statistics here, they're overwhelming for white. 60 games, 48% wins for white and 18% for black. The early knight c6 and the c3 Sicilian, it has some issues. The better and more common line is c takes d, d5, pawn takes d5, queen takes d5, knight f3, and e5. This is like an old main line. This was actually recommended in some books, but I don't think it's a great line for black. It's a great line if you want to have like a slightly worse position with no counterplay, basically. Knight c3, bishop e4, and on the stream I was recommending even the piece sacrifice line with bishop e2 is interesting. e4 and castles. Bishop takes c3, b takes c. E takes f3, bishop takes f3. Look at the score. It's crushing. Absolutely crushing, this piece sacrifice for white. I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do there. Maybe there's another way for black to play. It can't be e4. Yeah, he has to take here. Take here, castles. This is a cool position. Maybe it's not that bad for black. I guess you move the queen back. And then it's only slightly better for white after knight b5. Anyway, okay, long story short, acerbate. Go ahead and play d4 when this occurs again. Because knight f3 is okay, but it's not as good because it gives black a second chance to play knight f6. The chance to play knight f6 is just a much better variation than knight c6 and d5. That's not a reliable defense against the c3 Sicilian, but any of the knight f6 variations are much more correct for black. Giving him a second chance to get into that is really bad. So, but he plays this. The novelty of the year, f6. Oh, you're black here, right. I'm thinking you were white. Sorry, Acerbate, I've been doing that a lot. You guys are probably telling me for half an hour that you were white and I wasn't listening. I did that on a simul the other day. So Acerbate is black. Okay. So man, you have knight f6. And white has nothing better than to play e5, and then you play knight d5. And it's a normal main line. d4, pawn takes d4. Black has a very, very reasonable game here. It's featured by Garry Kasparov in, what's it called? He has a book called Revolution in the 70s, but it's actually Revolution in the 80s. I think more of the games are from the 80s. This is a really important variation for the c3 Sicilian, and like a main line. But black is okay. He's absolutely okay. So, but f6 is a really bad move. You're violating fundamental principles here playing f6. Why play f6? To prevent e5? This is not really white's idea necessarily. It depends. He wants to establish the ultimate pawn center with d4. So, okay guys, knight f6 is good. Another good move is e6. You can transfer to a French defense if you like to play the French defense. And that's about it. You can also play d5 actually. I still like d5 here. Alright. This is a better version though, a little bit of a better version. Still queen takes d5, d4. I would bail out with like e6. I think bishop g4 is still a better move now, but black has one more move of development than in the other lines. Brian Smith was advocating this variation for a video series on Chess Lecture a couple of years ago, including like playing like e6 and sometimes knight e7. Move 11 knows about that actually. He told me about it. But knight f6 seems better than d5 knight c6 systems. The French defense was Kasparov's choice. Actually, when Kasparov once in a while would play e6 against the c3 Sicilian, he would go into this with black. He believed that the advanced variation is not a danger. Okay. Anyway, f6 is a horrible move. He plays bishop c4. You know, I mean, bishop c4 is fine, but I prefer like, let's play d4. You know, our goal is to play d4 with white here, but white changes plans with bishop c4, looking for this diagonal. He played e6, castles, and then a6. Okay, probably not such a bad move. d3. If white is going to play passively, then black is going to get away with f6. We have to remember that this applies to all openings, guys. When one side makes a mistake, a bad move like f6, if you don't punish that mistake, oftentimes it'll come back to bite you in the butt. You know, so it will be basically situations where if you don't punish the move, the other side will actually benefit. You know, f6 might not be that bad of a move in this sort of formation. Maybe he's going to come out with like knight e7, knight g6. It's not so bad. b5, bishop b3. This is a classic example of developing pieces for the sake of developing them, I think. It's not really clear the bishop belongs on e3. So I would prefer with white here to play either d4 or maybe like knight on bd2. But he's going to develop pieces for the sake of developing them. Okay, this bishop is a target. You can get hit by maybe... I was going to say knight h6, then white maybe takes. That's an interesting idea. Take here. Double-edged, though. You know, black gets the g file, maybe in tandem with the bishop on b7. It could be some counterplay for black. I don't know. But I would prefer not to go knight h6. This move, concentrating on the dark squares, nice diagonal here. Maybe black's not that bad. This is the game, bishop d6 here. Rook e1. Why so many preparatory moves? Why not just... Okay, he's hanging a pawn here. So acerbate blunders. But even so, like, acerbate, you hung your pawn on c5. You need to develop your pieces, knight e7. But even so, why is white playing rook e1 in such a position? I mean, why not just go d4? I don't understand. This is the whole idea. We don't know where the rook belongs yet. It's too early to say. But we do know that we want to create a strong center here with white, with d4. So rook e1, too much preparation. Acerbate heads up. He saw the pawn hanging. Another passive move, a3, doing nothing. Okay, over prophylaxis. Knight b4. Now, knight f1. This is ridiculous. Play d4 already. This is a strong move. Here, knight e7. Black's almost out of the woods now. Hey Raymond, what's up? Later, c takes b5. Okay, man, thanks for stopping by. Ben Feingold is very upset with playing f6. What's me doing? It's a subscriber stream, guys. So subscribers submit their games to me, and I go over the games. This is one of my subscribers, Acerbate. He submitted this game where he played a very early f6 for no reason in the c3 Sicilian. Now his position is almost okay because white's played too slow. Bishop at. It's like the slowest possible approach by white. And here you did something that another one of my students did in a game that I analyzed today. Here you did something that it's violating like kind of fundamental idea of the position. It seems like at this point it would be safer to castle on the king's side. You're paranoid about this bishop on a2. But the bishop alone can't hurt you. I think your king's safest square is probably h8, in fact. If you castle kingside and put your king on h8, it's snug as a bug in a rug. This is an old American saying. I don't know, dating back to like the probably the early part of the 20th century, but the king on h8 is extremely safe. Nothing is going to hurt you there. At least, you know, not unless you hand white like 4 tempi or something. But it's very strange for me to castle queenside here. Why? Because your pawns are back. Look at those pawns. You've got pawn shelter, e6, f6, g7, h7. That will protect your king. On the queen side, this pawn is up, this pawn is up, this pawn is up. You've pushed up your pawns on the queen side. White can play like b4 and just open the position around your king. Bang. There it is. b4. Massive advantage to white now. It's going to be impossible to keep the floodgates closed. You just committed suicide essentially in one move. d6, trying to keep it closed. You hung a pawn on e6. He didn't take it. You realized too late. Now you're just down a pawn with an unsafe king. Protected pass pawn on c5. Game over. Strategically, game over. This is another good move by white. He played well. And maybe I would consider like knight a5, trying to stick the knight on c4. White just dropped a piece. I think he just simply didn't see that d5 was protected. There's no other explanation. He played perfectly into this point, and just with the 4 plus half pawn, 4.5 pawn advantage, he plays bishop takes d5. What? Rook takes d5. Now you're just better. You're up a piece. Good move. Reasonable. And then see, he's still trying to open up your king because you don't have enough pawn shelter. So even though you're up a piece, there's still danger here. Thanks for submitting that game. Troll sent me a, not Troll, Aniket sent me a game. Tushar sent me a game that I had a similar position against Troll. I'll check that out. But anyway, so at this point you drop the piece back with bishop c6. This actually is merely about calculation. We got to work on the calculation, just overlooking a simple drop. And now at this point you just go berserk. Yeah. But I mean, even if you played the best move, you're losing, it appears. The best move would be bishop takes b5, hanging on to one guardian. So best case scenario, we have equal pieces, but white has this amoeba in the center. That's it's all about king position, man. King safety. I keep telling you guys, central control, development, and king safety. Now in this case, obviously material was important because everybody keeps dropping pieces in this game. There's like 4 absolute blunders where someone just dropped major material like a pawn or a piece. So that's still, we got to get beyond that. But the black king is not safe. The white king is safe. That's all that really matters here. The fact that white's up 2 pawns doesn't hurt his case either. So you play knight takes g3. This is a crazy move. He just laughs, takes it, then we go to the next. So now you're down 2 pieces instead of 1. No particular reason why. g5, bishop d6, rook f5. You got not enough counterplay, and that's it. That's got to be game over. He's on the 7th. You have one last cheapo with bishop c6 and mate on g2, and you try it, of course. You got to try it. But we can guard the g2 square with knight e3. Actually, there's h1 and that. No, there's double mates here. I just realized there's 2 mates. So white lost this game at the end. I didn't expect that. It's good when it's like a surprise. So there's a defense though. He has rook c7 check and take your bishop. He even played rook c7 check, and after king d8, he forgot about queen h1, just like I did at first. Okay, I would see it after a while, but he forgot about it. So he could have played rook takes c6, and then you're out of luck. But ironically, it just pays not to resign. The secondary mate white missed here on h1, the less common mate. Okay, guys, let's play one last game here against Juicebox Wizard. I'm not going to play any more games. We've got over 90 viewers today. Oh, that's an old message I'm reading. Okay. We've got 40 viewers only right now. Subscriber stream usually has a bit less, since it's really like just for my subscribers. All right, Juicebox Wizard. Let's try e4. He played g6, d4, modern defense. Modern defense is very hyper modern, but I think it's a bit better than, say, the Alekhine's defense, which is, it's more inherently risky. The main move, knight c3. No, Acerbate, showed character, not giving up hope, finding that one threat. I also forgot about queen h1. I'm a little bit in a fog here. Still not, I need more exercise, more oxygen to the brain, but we also for a moment didn't see queen h1. All right, I can understand, a beginner player overlooking that mate. You don't encounter queen h1 as typically as you do queen g2 mate. This is a kind of unusual line. Knight c6 is kind of pushing the envelope. I don't know that I should play d5, actually. Probably not the best move. Asmai Parashvili has played setups like this for black. He's about the only player who's been around 2700 I can think of. Maybe there's others in modern games, but not too many modern players use a setup with knight on c6. Now he can come to d4. He has to come to d4 and back it up with c5. I believe. Knight b8 is slow. Knight b8 may be playable, but it's really very slow. Now he also has e5. That's kind of a weird move. e5, and if takes e6, knight takes e6. I think that white is probably better there, though, by just taking on e6 and playing the position. We have a strong pawn in the center. It's different, though. If you play c5, I take en passant you can take back with the d-pawn, as well as the knight on c6. So now the taking en passant is not effective. He just takes back with the d-pawn. I have no advantage after that. I have to play this position the way it is. With knight e2, and then it's a weird line. It's sort of similar to a c4 version of the modern. Knight d2, ge2. He has the defense. Then I go there. He plays a check. I have c3. Anyway, it's also possible to play knight f3, but later the knight on f3 can get pinned by bishop g4. I've played the same position with my pawn on c4 a long time ago. With the pawn on c4, black pawn on d6. This is a game I had against Alexander Ivanov. Clash Kid says, "Would you guys also have the mental problem? When you play weaker opponents, you play worse than usual." Okay, I have more experience than anyone here. Over time, I've learned to play better and better against weak players. But I think that there, black should play queen b6. The only direct way of supporting the knight. Okay, you also, again, have this weird e5 move. But I don't trust that. Again, well, actually, now you could take back with the pawn again, de. So e5 is interesting. e5, de, de. And I'm not sure that's necessarily so good for me. e5 is an option. Queen b6 is an option. But this way he trades off his powerful knight. Still, it's not that bad for black. He's traded pieces in a cramped position, which seems like a good thing to do. In another similarity to my game with Alexander Ivanov, Alex actually hacked this knight and took a pawn and fianchetted his queen against me in that game that I was talking about from long ago. He sniped the pawn and then fianchetted his queen on g7 and just hunkered down and won the game with this hit and run pawn grab. He's a specialist in that. But it's not clear if white should sacrifice this pawn or not. Now we have bishop b5 check. It's going to cost us some time, but we would force his king to f8 or else on d7, so I'm going to go for it. Basically sacrificing a tempo to force him to lose his right to castle. Don't hang a piece, guys. I think I prefer king f8. Here your king is just out chilling in the middle of the board. Maybe it can hide on like c7. But there's no doubt that d7 is a more dangerous location than f8. Possible to put the king on c7 Nimzo style and Gingy Indian style and survive. If I can't open the center. Play bad always. That's a positive attitude. Alright, what do we got here? I was looking for this message. I can't get it back now. Okay. Knight g4. Well, I mean, any kind of Benoni, like normally you're trying to avalanche these pawns with f4 and e5. I take this away from you. This is not a normal position. This is a Benoni where my opponent's king is on d7. That should really restrict his options. You know, he can't be as aggressive here as he would in a normal situation. I mean, you know, like Benoni, okay, play b5, but in this position, do you want to play b5 with your king on d7? Are you sure we want to treat this like a normal position? He doesn't have his normal arsenal of ideas. Speaking of arsenal, where's the old man? a4, f4, f4, e5. I mean, a4 is interesting, just grabbing some space, but he has queen b4 there. That seems like a problem. That might even be a problem anyway. I mean, queen b4 attacking my pawn. If I'm to play, yeah, I guess we go for it. Move 11 with a huge donation. What is up, man? What is up? The diamond donation and then 5 100s. That's great. Move 11, did you submit a game to analyze for today, by the way? I didn't see anything. Did you send me something? Knight h5. Move 11, 1500 donation. Thank you so much. Knight h5, going for g3. I'm trying to get it as king, but how do we get it the king? I want to do the Sealer Sweeper sacrifice with e5, but it's... How do we get it in there? Okay, I've got g4, but do I really want to weaken my king side? Plus he has these weird ideas of like g4, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, knight g3. Isn't that sick? Like I could lose or be worse after g4, bishop takes c3, pawn takes g3, c3, knight g3, move the rook and knight takes e4, double attacking my queen and the pawn on c3. So, patience is a virtue. I can't stress that enough. Okay, the e5 idea. There's also like rook f3. This is like safety first. Now he's a strange plan, like bishop takes c3 going Gingy Indian style. Bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3, knight it back to f6. And all hell starts to break loose. Maybe that's his best now. Bishop takes... That's nasty. Bishop takes, pawn takes, knight f6, then queen d3. No, I'm still holding on to my position. Now g4, bishop takes c3, pawn takes c3, knight f6, queen d3 again. I've also got e5 here. How about e5? We just go. Pawn takes, bishop takes, rook takes f7. Rook takes f7 would seriously change the... It would seriously change the game. My rook could even get trapped in there. Funny part is I have no way to get at his king. g4 again, bishop takes c3, b takes c, knight f6, e5. No. I hate g4. The Sealer Sweeper sacrifice is the idea of like e5, pawn takes pawn, f5. It might actually be bad here. But I mean, I would play what after f5? That's not clear. I've got to have something good here. I'm just not focusing right. Too distracted by this donation from Clash Kid with 5,000. What is going on? You guys want me to lose on time? I'll lose on time for another 10,000. I'm just kidding, man. No, I don't want to lose on time. I don't want to lose on time. This is a risky move, e5. I don't like it. I want to just build my position. Build, build, build. What do we do? Clash Kid with 5,000 donation. Seriously? A bits battle on a subscriber stream. It's a good thing Koi TV is not here. He's not online as far as I know. You guys are very generous. Thank you so much. Seriously. But we're going to move along here. I'm sort of meditating for as long as I can. I'm kind of a, how do you call it? A procrastinator. That's why I get in time pressure. Being a procrastinating kind of person. Alright, let's just make a decision that's not completely random. Alright. Well, let's go for e5. I don't know. It looked playable to me. I'm not sure it's good, but it's playable. He takes, I take. He just ignored it. Whoa. Alright. I'm trying to create chaos. Maybe too successfully. Panic at the Disco. So, okay, if king takes queen d5 check, I don't have anything direct. Alright, f5 check, anybody? Queen d5 check, he comes back. I've got bishop takes c5. That's an interesting move. But first I should play queen d5 check. We'll keep our options open. Now I have knight e4 with very strong threats against c5. Tactics, anyone? I've got queen b7 check. Queen b7 check. Queen takes b5 check. It's still not that clear. Bishop takes c5. "16 seconds against 2 minutes, 16 seconds. We snapped a pawn. The black king is less safe than the white king. I didn't see anything convincing with queen b7 check. There was also knight e4, which I thought was messy. So he's snapping this guy. Now we have a choice between recaptures. Rook takes. I don't know if this was a good idea, because it hangs the f4 pawn. He goes back there. But I have this check. And another check. You're going to have to run for it. But I've seen Juicebox Wizard. He tends to panic in time pressure a little bit too much. Oh, that would be a nasty blunder. There was no obvious win there. This should work. We can do this. I almost allowed him to trade queens. It would be a really bad mistake with no time left. Clash Kid, thank you so much. Move 11. Got 3 awesome donations this week. Koi TV. Desmate. All right, Juicebox Wizard, you made it a very complicated position. Good job. Good job. So, Defermian against Fries Nielsen, 1993. Dimitri London against Christensen, New Jersey Open, 1989. I wasn't in that one. Knight takes e2. No, it's interesting to play e5. It's also interesting to play queen b6. But this move, I think, kind of gives up your grip. Although even this is playable. Queen a5 was enterprising. And then I played this, and this is just maniacal. He's crazy. He plays with his king on d7. Insane. Awesome game, man. h3 here, h6. I go for it, but this is a great move, knight h5. And he's got these ideas, like I said, of bishop takes c3. Nice job. Okay, guys, we're going to go back to the games. Thanks again so much, Clash Kid, with the awesome donation. Koi TV donated earlier in the week, and Move 11 also with 1,500. You guys are the best. Listen, I want to remind everybody we have a stream tomorrow morning, Friday, Fast Friday, 5+3 for everybody. Open challenges. So also Sunday Simul would be a long one, like last week. It's like 40, 40, 40. So it could last up to 4 hours. If you want a serious game, like if you don't have time to play a tournament and you want a seriously challenging game, join my Simul on Sunday at 6 o'clock in the evening on Sunday Central European Summertime. Okay, guys, we've got games to analyze. We did Tushar, we did Acerbate. Only is next. Only stupid names left. Hey, I won't be able to what? Hey, it's a game. Yeah, that was different. Hey, it's a game. I played over the board in the Simul against a local CM, Candidate Master. I was white. Remember, I was white. I have done already computer analysis, but it's not very helpful in understanding what went wrong. All right, let's can the computer analysis. Let's turn it off. And he's white here. Queen b6 was a check. That's the problem. He's trading queens there. If I play bishop b6, I thought, oh, I'm skewering his queen, you know, like, that would be stupid. Happy you did challenge me, but I'm probably not going to get some more challenges today, guys. Only Stupid Names has been playing really well against me. You can see the graph of computer analysis. I'm also playing a lot of g3 against the Slav lately. Usually not with this move order. But I don't like playing knight c3 here. I don't think that it makes sense to play a fianchetto with knight c3 against the Slav. Typically, if you play a fianchetto against a Slav, you're going to like be playing setups where black is like grabbing on c4, and you're typically sacrificing a pawn. Maybe the knight comes to a3, can regroup in and grab it. So if you put your knight on c3, you're basically putting yourself in a situation where when black plays d5, you're going to have to exchange on d5. And then we're going to go into some situation where you're basically playing the Caro-Kann exchange variation with the black pieces, Spinal Tap chess style, with like g6. You're going to be basically playing black in a Caro-Kann. And it's like symmetrical, and so I don't like knight c3. Bang, d5, black equalizes instantly. Some might disagree. But instead here, white has decided to play d4. Now, I don't think there's any reason why black shouldn't take this pawn on c4. This looks like one of these dubious sort of mystical gambits that isn't really right for white. You know, you can sacrifice a pawn if you want to, but there isn't really a good way to get the pawn back, and at the same time, I don't know what white's plan really is. How does white really have enough compensation for sacrificing this pawn? So, the first thing is you don't put the knight on c3. If you want to play d4, and you want to play it, you know, as a pawn sacrifice, you play knight f3, you let black take on c4, and you're going to regroup the pawn in a lot of lines. But this knight on c3. After this, I think we have to exchange on d5. Okay, d4, he grabs the pawn. Now we have a small problem. Bishop g2, e6. Leonid Yudasin against some guy I've never heard of. Yudasin. I'm just saying it like an American. I love Leonid. He's a good guy. Very, very funny guy. He has a great personality. Really charming individual. I'll never forget the time that we played in the last round of the World Open, and it was like winner ties for first with a lot of money. And I'm white. No, I'm black against Yudazin. You know, he's much higher rated than me, former World Championship candidate. And like, I draw the game, I win some class prize, and like, you know, I'm kind of disappointed, but I wasn't expecting to win anyway with black against Yudazin. But most grandmasters would be like pissed off that they didn't win first place, or, you know, I don't know. And what does he do? He asks me to analyze the game, you know. This is a class individual. I mean, somebody who loves chess more than money, and just a really, really great person and an amazing chess player. But anyway, I get off the subject. So e6 here looks like, you know, kind of weird. I mean, it seems like black would want to get the bishop outside the pawn chain. But anyway, all right, I like e6. You're going to play it maybe like a semi-Slav. Maybe we can play b5 later on. e3, knight d5, knight e2. We have no way to get this pawn back. There just doesn't seem to be a way to get the pawn back. It's like gone. You know, so I'm thinking earlier on d takes c4. I mean, let's see what other people did. Bishop g2, e6. Yudasin here played knight f3. I would think it would be, you know, this could actually transpose to a line that I think maybe like Romanishin played this with white, but knight f3, yeah, we're transposing. With knight f3, we're transposing to a semi-Slav. This is an actual line. The way the white plays this is a little too passive. After e3. It's not bad. Maybe he still has some compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Black grabbed the pawn. Now, it does seem like he's obligated to try to hang on to it. Maybe he could try a different setup, one of these like bishop e6 type of things. Bishop e6. Then the bishop's kind of a target for the advancing pawns, though. That doesn't seem right either. What should black play here? There's always g6 and bishop g7. That seems to be the most popular. Okay, I'm not an authority for either side. e6, now e3, kind of passive, knight d5, knight e2, bishop e7, a4. a4, kind of artificially isolating the pawn on c4. Seems like our plan might be to play b3 after a4, b3, and force black to take and take on b3 and take back, and we have kind of like strategic compensation. a4 seems okay. Castles, castles. a6 looks weird. Because a6, if we have a5, I think that white is good. He also doesn't have b5. He also doesn't have b5 because of a takes b, c takes b, knight takes b5. So we have a choice between a5 and b3 here. White decided to play e4, yet another move. I think this is kind of risky because black can play like knight here, knight here. But what if we just simply play like b3? Pawn takes b3, queen takes b3. To me, it looks very, very clear that white has good compensation for the sacrificed pawn, like Benko Gambit style stuff. Even if you traded his good bishop off, our rooks could come to the open, half-open files. So this simple approach is also interesting. e4 is very ambitious. Another move is a5, with the idea that if bishop b4, I guess you have queen a4 hanging onto the pawn. Though this would threaten e4 as well. So you really have like three different variations that look interesting for white here. He plays e4, knight b4. I am bothered by this. Now we have to play b3. He doesn't do it. That pawn must be destroyed. He must be destroyed. It's just controlling that d3 square, giving him an outpost. So I think that e5 is weird. Weird move. I mean, ultimately, yeah, maybe you can play f4, f5, but yeah, that's what he tried to do. I think we've got to just contain the queen side. You got out of control, kind of aggressive here, but you end up weakening your position more and more. Simply maintaining control of the position, just like b3, and we just hold. Everything's cool. We've got some compensation for our pawn. We're not asking for too much. But it looks like with e5, our pawns become more static, become more fixed. We start overextending ourselves a bit. Knight d7, f4, c5. This is controversial. I don't know. But he does have to do something. Maybe he should have played just simply knight b6 and brought another knight into the center. Even a5 looks like a reasonable move, anchoring the knight on b4 at this point. This move is risky because he opens up the long diagonal, and he also allows you to play d5. It's totally changing the position with c5. d5, okay. Knight takes d5, knight takes d5. If we can win the pawn on c4, we're better. If we can't, I'm not sure. Queen knight b6 now, obviously, is a problem. Does black have another move? I don't know. What other move is there for black here? Rook b8? Perhaps rook b8. After rook b8, you can meet queen takes c4 with b5, and black has some kind of active counterplay. But the position is totally okay for white now, after he played c5. Knight b6. I'd like knight b6. And now queen d3. Black has a 4-on-2 majority on the queen side, but his coordination is not that good. What do you have, like rook a3 now or something? Knight c3 simply? Knight c3. That looks good. So now you made a mistake with bishop e3. Knight c3. I'm going to turn on the engine here because I want to evaluate this. If we're careful here, it looks like knight c3. Alright. Knight c3 at least. Bishop e3, apparently a slight mistake. I don't mind trading queens. Bishop e6. Now knight c3. Knight d5. And this is a basic trick to trade pieces. Knight. Yeah, I'm expecting knight takes d5 here. What is this? Knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, queen takes check, king h1. How's our opposite color? Bishop endgame. Evaluation? Equal. That would have been safe. So, white had a lot of chances in a murky gambit line, but he kind of passed them all over and then slowly drifted here. Now knight b4, keeping the pieces on the board. This looks like bad because he's dropping this, but there's a monster coming. The monster knight on d3. Bishop takes b7 here, here, bang. And you have that strong avalanche here though with f5, so yet white has counterplay. It was a good game. There was a lot going on here, but it looks like you should play f5. This feels more active than, okay, knight d5 is not bad either. We could play it in a different order of moves. Bishop d8, rook b1, knight. This was a good game. Knight d5. Black's actually dropping c5 here. No, we can't give up a piece, so we had an awesome donation today, guys. Clash Kid with 5,000, Move 11, 1,500. Thank you, guys. This was a good game. I mean, if you look at the graph, okay, at the end, black just dominates, but this whole first part of the game was back and forth, a very, very murky position. I don't trust these gambit lines really, where we're not clearly getting the pawn back in the Catalan, but an expert on the Catalan, and there's a lot of them running around, would probably say that it's adequate. I don't know what to do here. This was a tense moment. Maybe rook d1. Can we just kind of maintain the position? There's ugly looking tricks. You know, he takes twice and plays like c3, which looks a little scary. Knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, even bishop f5 here. You might have to sack an exchange. You know, this kind of exchange sacrifice looks pretty good for white, actually. You know, this is better for white. You got to keep this in mind. If you can get to a situation like this, you have absolutely no losing chances and chances to win. The Topalov style exchange sacrifice. But anyways, it looks like he would have maybe like c3 or something. Apparently this isn't even good. Alright, so you could still be equal. You could still be equal with rook d1. Calm move. Bishop takes c5, he just simply hung two pieces for a rook. Like I wanted to when the first moment that I looked at the position. Bishop takes f8. King takes f8. Maybe he calculated further. Maybe he saw this f5. I didn't see this. So black blundered with knight takes. He could have played bishop takes. That's it. Now you're just losing. Now there's no f5 tactic to save you. I don't know what the time situation was here for both sides, but assuming this was like maybe time pressure. But you should see this. First glance, yes, bishop takes c5 looks good. No. You can't do it. You've got to calculate another line. Like the engine says even knight takes b4 is okay. Surprisingly. But I guess you might win the exchange here. Pawn takes bishop c5. No, he's got bishop b6. That's a problem. We don't have bishop c5. This isn't a pawn down though. It's equal pawns. I'm thinking like white's down a pawn still, but he's not. So it turns out that you're fine. Alright. Now black sacrificed the pawn to get active. That's what's going on there. Bishop takes c5, simply a blunder, then a blunder, counter blunder, and then f5, and he missed it. f5, knight e3, f takes e6. What is this, a draw? It looks like a draw. Knight takes f1, opposite color bishops. Certainly, likely a draw. Okay, so some kind of basic tactical mistakes, really. And now it's two pieces for the rook. I think it's just lost. Okay, guys, let's move on. So, interesting and murky opening, but don't play knight c3 on the white side of those Rati type of positions. Raymond Carver with a donation. The Pyramids for 25. What's up? Killing it with donations today. Just one difference. Electronics is worse than cocaine. Modern fathers and the problems that they face. Alright. What am I doing? My mouse. My other mouse. Please. Donate to support my other mouse. The backup mouse is having an issue. Alright. We will spend donations on the backup mouse. No stream between April 18th and the 26th. I'm playing in a tournament. If you want to play in the... I was looking at the Field Clash kit for the B section. Under 2200. It looks really juicy. I don't see any like real strong players in there. Some fishy titled players, some old dudes who are like 70, 80 years old, and some amateurs purely. It's not like the World Open. I think I would score a clean 8.5, maybe 8 in the under 2200 section. All right. So, Happy India says, please accept my challenge. I'm not doing challenges today, Happy India. Sorry, buddy. Okay, we got Clash Kid next. Streaming for another 45 minutes. What is up, Mr. Raymond Carver? Please make no acknowledgments. All right. Oh, you mean of the troll? Or acknowledgments of donations? I hope you're not talking to me, Move 11. Already acknowledged your donation. Acknowledgments of trolls, not a good idea. Clash Kid, are you still in Yekaterinburg? Alright. We got Soltigo next. No, not Soltigo. Clash Kid by way of Soltigo. This is 4-5. Pop G. Excuse me. Pop. It sounds like Pop G. Pop G. Pop Gabor. No, sorry. Pop Jula. There is the higher rated Pop Gabor, but it's spelled with 2 P's instead of 1. It's hard to get all these pops confused. I've played both of them, of course. I'm an expert in Hungarian Grandmasters under the age of 35. He meant the troll. Okay, I'll acknowledge your support of the stream then. Okay, you got a really tough opponent here, Pop G against Clash Kid. This is 3+2 blitz. Clash Kid doesn't like to play fast blitz either. Let's see what's up. So Clash Kid, Pop G, you know, he really kind of specializes in stuff like I play, like Knight F3 sort of stuff. But I guess he's playing everything also similar to myself. E4, D5, really strong in blitz, really good rapid player. But he was like that even 10 years ago when I played him. E takes D5, Queen takes D5, Knight C3, Queen A5. Clash Kid going with the traditional variation. You know, of course, that this for some reason has a lot of popularity. I don't really get it. Queen D6 is still hanging in there. You know, but it's been so heavily analyzed. I think Queen D6 is almost a mistake. It's just been like too much focus for almost like 15 years now. This variation has been overly, it's just been played to death. So going back to the standard stuff with Queen A5, you know, I always used to say that I think that Queen A5 is the best move. People would ask me, I would say, yeah, I think the traditional approach is best. Knight F6, Bishop E2. This is Mr. Grandmaster, you know, making a move that just takes the opponent out of book and is easy and quick to play in a fast game. Obviously, Bishop E2 is not a great move for white. It's kind of giving up a good chunk of his edge with this Bishop E2. You know, I don't think that Pop G would play this in a long game. He's just trying to be practical. C6, castles, Bishop F5. The bishop does need to get outside the pawn chain here. I mean, technically you could play G6, but I don't think that G6 makes a lot of sense with the queen on A5. So, getting the bishop outside seems to be the best move. It's not that obvious to me. but apparently bishop f5 has a much better score than bishop g4. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a little freaked out by my computer because it's claiming ridiculous things, like white has a 7/10 of a pawn advantage here. Can you get a norm in my tournament? Yeah, definitely. I mean, any kind of strong open with internationally plenty of players from different countries. There has to be a certain amount of players in the tournament who are titled with Grandmaster title and international. I could get a norm. I have to have a 2600 performance, or really, really close. That's extremely unlikely based on the way that I've been playing the last 2 years. But you never know. Like I was talking about this today. I mean, tournaments are basically a lot of luck. You know, if you get two guys who drop pieces, you know, maybe two Grandmasters blunder, I get motivated, I get pumped up, and I start winning games or something. You know, if I get a free game or two, I get a head start, like I could have a really good result. So bishop f5, b4. Okay, this reeks of preparation. I don't think that b4 is something that Pop G came up with over the board. There's a whole bunch of games here. John Ems against Gleck, 1995. Kind of a hidden idea. I played this idea of b4 against Clash Kid earlier in the week, or was it Sunday? But I used the Elvis approach of rook b1 and b4. Kind of like another secret variation. But okay, Pop G probably studying my games carefully. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so b4, tuck it away safely. Don't take that pawn, you know. Fine, this looks good. b5, it's exactly the same idea I used, just in a different form. Reasonable, but not like that dangerous, so you should just remain calm. Good move. a4. Grabbing space on the queen side. This does look a little disconcerting, like white playing a5, a6. That's kind of... I'm just not sure we can ignore that entirely. You know, this idea of a5, a6. If he plays a5, a6, I feel like we're going to get cracked completely. But if we play a5, we're making concessions, weakening the queen side. Just hypothetically, let's take a look at a5 for a second. How bad is this? Not that bad. It would concretely stop this plan. a6, the computer likes a6. Maybe better. We can recapture on a6 with the knight. So Pop G would play rook b1, you play ab, ab, and something like maybe knight on bd7. Yeah, it looks like at the end of the day, white doesn't really have anything. So one of those situations where you might be better off reacting. Typically, like ignoring these sort of things, you know, not weakening yourself is better. But it looks like you might have been better off actually reacting to a4, a5. I'm surprised he doesn't go ahead and pull the trigger on this. Isn't a6 a threat? Because let's see. Castles a6. What am I missing here? Well, apparently you can take on a6. This is the point. And it's not so bad. Ironically. Okay. Then it's not that big of a threat. We can ignore it. Interesting. So Pop G's probably right. He doesn't waste time. He just develops a piece. The other idea of playing knight h4, going for your bishop pair. Stockfish likes bishops, but it's still a normal idea in all lines of the Scandinavian. Castles. Now he does it. I mean, it does make you wonder, like, should we have taken time to play h6 here? Again, you know, kind of a slow move, but let's see. If we get the second chance to play h6, is that something that would be worthwhile? This prophylactic move. Hindsight is 20/20, as they say, but I mean, I'm not playing the queen a5 Scandinavian. You are. You might want to keep this in mind. But then again, he could have played bishop. He could have played knight h4 on a previous move. So then, do we have to play h6 like right now? I mean, that's the question here. At what point do we play h6? And should he even play a4? Somebody played knight h4. And it's not a bad player. Just happens to be a German grandmaster. Luther, the difference is you're not castled, so after bishop g6, I mean, you know, he's got to think about this diagonal in the h2. A lot of people aren't going to like that. Probably that's why not too many people played knight h4 before you castle. After castling, it becomes a lot more appealing. A lot more appealing. Bishop e7 here. When you castle, knight h4 becomes appealing. So maybe now is the time to play h6. Okay, castles. He plays knight h4. Still, your position is very solid. Giving up the bishop pair, not a big deal. Knight on bd7. Very solid for black here. I don't know where we're going. We've got knight c4 apparently. But it's still like, you know, Paschall Jula will probably go back to c1 and just suck it up, you know. Maybe he should have played d3 at some point. I don't know. He was concerned about what? Perhaps d3. He plays g3, bang, good move. Okay. And now knight c4, and here we are now. The fianchetto was a really nice transfer for the bishop on g2. He's got this built-in beautiful diagonal. Excellent. And now it's difficult to say where to put the knight, but you're headed for f5. That looks great. This looks really good. Rook b1. White doesn't seem to have a threat here. There does not seem to be a threat. If we can clear the long diagonal, that's the thing though. I don't know. Should we play like rook b8? Should we just go knight f5? You did rook b8. But it is tempting to play this. That's the plan, right? To get the knight to d4. Still, white's position is like equal. He could also come in c4. It's like a Philidor queen. This is a tough position to make a decision. You could also take on b5 now because of your knight on d6. He has to take back with the pawn. And then there's this sort of backwardness along these files. You've got backwardness too on the a file. And your b7 pawn is a target. But apparently you're doing well here. So this was the key moment. This is like a slightly inferior move. It's inherently passive. That's the problem with rook b8. I probably might have made the move myself. But now, I mean, what's Pop G really doing? You know, he's played bishop a3. I don't know if he would do that in a slow game. Does he really want to trade bishops here with the bishop pair? I'm not sure. b6 was kind of slow. Oh, he does this. This is just blitz garbage move. I don't know. I don't like bishop takes d6. Why was he doing that? I don't even like bishop a3. I think he should just play d3 and maybe develop the bishop out this diagonal, or just leave it on c1. I think his mistake is actually playing bishop a3, because here you have knight f5, and trading the dark square bishops favors you, because queen and knight combination is very good. You can basically focus on the dark squares strongly as well. This fork on d4 is like massive, but anytime you face the bishop pair, it's really good to trade bishop for bishop, trade off his bishop pair. This is surprising though. Here Pop G like sensed the danger or something. He hacks your knight off on d6. This is actually best move according to Stockfish, but it seems counterintuitive. But he sensed that knight f5, knight d4 was very strong for black, so he takes it. It's like a stupid move, but it's not. Bishop takes d6. Now it's just like equal, but Pop G's technique is excellent. I mean, our own hero Clash Kid has good endgame technique, but they're playing 3-2 blitz, extremely fast. Pop G's he's just hoovering the board to make the position as technical as possible. If he's able to achieve like c3 and d4, and then c4, c5, there's also the a7 pawn. Maybe white's position is a tiny bit easier to play. Nothing's happening. It's just like playing for time and trading queens. The Grandmaster is happy here, you know, to be in a technical position. It's interesting how he waited there. He couldn't play d4. Okay. e5's kind of risky, man. I don't know. It's kind of weakening the white squares. What are you going to do? e5, f5. Maybe Clash Kid wanted to play actively with like e5 and f5. Rook d8. But how are you going to protect a7 in this position? In fact, now you have rook d7, but he stops you with bishop c6. Now we have an issue. You just ignored it, so rook a1 just wins. This is like also f6 weakening the white squares I don't like. So it's an awkward situation already. But why not like rook c8? It looks like rook c8. Rook c8, rook a1, rook c7. Of course, white is slightly better. But you shouldn't have lost. You probably shouldn't lose in a long game. If it was like a simul, you would hold a draw here. Okay, man. Good game. Not bad. Thank you for the support, Clash Kid. Thanks for the donation. He waited with knight h4 till you castled. Right. This was a good idea. With knight, yeah, overall, I'd be happy with the game, too. White didn't really prove anything. Okay, we've got Soltigo up next. Anybody else who's a subscriber that didn't submit a game, please do so immediately, because I don't have that much time left. We've got like half an hour left for the stream. Okay, Soltigo. Soltigo Miniature. Hello and welcome to the study of all my latest checkmates. This is awesome, man. I'm so glad that I got to see this. You made me smile. Alright. Chapter 48. Let's check out Chapter 48. Your piece of work. Scandinavian defense. We got a sink. Uh-oh. Can I sink? Oh, no. Soltigo, can you make me a subscriber? I mean, can you make me a contributor to the study? I'm sure that Pop Jula loves playing ops-colored bishop endings in 3-2, man. I'm absolutely certain of it. He lives for that kind of thing. But objectively, rook and ops-colored bishops is not so easy. It's really technical and tough. So, he would have tortured you. Soltigo, yeah, can you make me a subscriber? I mean, I can't stop saying subscriber. I'm just so excited about all the subscribers. He's got too much free time. I'm serious, man. I'm still not a subscriber. I keep trying to sync and I get this. It was game 48 you wanted to look at, right? Miniature against chapter 48. 48. I'm not gonna sync. We're just gonna look it over. Screw syncing. I'm syncing now. Now I can see all of his secret games. He made me. I tricked him into making me a contributor to his secret study. All right, Soltigo's white. Agrawal is black. So knight c3, queen e6 check. Once Justin Sarkar played queen e5 check against... No, maybe it was this move. Yeah, this is Sarkar playing black against Alexander Ivanov. And it was a massacre of epic proportions. Alex just played bishop e2, Sarkar played queen g6, and then it was like knight f3, he took the pawn, and like 20 moves later black resigned. This is Morpheism, basically. Morpheism is, in my opinion, you know, when you're like just getting 3 pawns for, or 3 tempi for the pawn or whatever, or three tempi or more for the pawn in an open position. It's good for white. For Justin Sarkar to try to play this against a player of Alexander Ivanov's caliber in his prime was like suicidal. And you could see like some people managed to win. The tricky Milko Popchev will also beat me with a ridiculous opening. But another example of this kind of gambit, which is very effective, would be another Scandinavian. E4, D5, pawn takes pawn, queen takes pawn. This line with, well actually, it's Morphy against Adolf Anderson, I think. E5, D takes E5 from their match. Bishop B4, Knight f... No, this is not bishop e4. It's queen takes e5 check, bishop e2, bishop e4. I guess this is Morphy against Adolf Anderssen, knight f3. And I guess I knew that at the time, but I had a game that was like this. You know, same idea, bishop d2, queen c5, rook b1. I mean, how many tempi can it be? Can a pawn be worth, essentially, you know? For Morphy to have this position, the guy was like, it was the best day of his life. You know, he just ripped black apart. My game wasn't recorded in a database. It was against the master. I won easily with this position. But the Alexander Ivanov variation is similar. Why am I talking about this? Because the guy played queen e6 check. It seems to me, I mean, the only idea after this is really, you know, to do that. There is no other idea for black. This is literally the only reason to play queen e6 check. There's also queen e5 check. I guess that has its own ideas, but queen e6 specifically to play this weird line where you grab the pawn on g2. Knight c6 now. Knight f3, but maybe d4 is more incisive because you're threatening d5 right away. Does it make a difference? If we play d4 right away, Soltigo, my theory, what's that? You can't use any of your ideas now. We've got this d4, anyway, what I was going to say was, like, when opponents do strange things, it's very important, said this earlier in the stream, but you try to immediately exploit it. You know, you have to be incisive. You can't be, oh, I'll play knight f3. Like, this guy makes a weird move, you got to be direct. So d4, it's like you miss your window of opportunity, sorry for not enunciating, and suddenly, like, black slips away. So it looks like knight f3 is a normal move. But look at the difference. This is even stronger. He's threatening d5. Now black has to play another queen move immediately. Knight b4. That can't be right. Alright, so knight f3, knight f6, bang. Now we're threatening d5. This is the only way that black can play without retreating. It looks like the other option was queen d7, admitting his mistake, you know, trying to just get back and survive somehow. Now if d5, maybe white gets overextended, in other words. At this point, bishop c4. Black is just about okay. Perhaps. Okay, maybe there's some weird combinations. Knight b4. It's a safe move. a3. Here. I have noticed this with Soltigo. One thing, because he's kind of a self-taught player, he didn't really learn the game from books, it seems like. I mean, I find him to be very creative, but I have noticed that Soltigo seems to have a problem with castling first. Like, he doesn't castle first. He just doesn't do that. Like, he can't stand to commit his king first. But here it's just like, why not just castle? I mean, you're just outstripping black in development. I mean, maybe there is a problem with the knight takes c3. He's obviously concerned about... It appears he's concerned about maybe knight takes c3 and then the doubling of the pawns. Why else would queen d3 be the move? There's also the possibility of castling queenside, but that's not really appropriate here. So, if it had been me playing white, I'd want to play castles. Now obviously you have to watch the c2 pawn, but I want to outstrip black in development. If he tries to play here, there's that square. Don't forget that black's king is on e8 and we can answer him first. So this threat is bigger than this threat. I like just clean castling rather than farting around with a3. a3 is not a constructive move. Alright, here, queen d3, and then b6. Black should be very happy to trade pieces in this position. Very happy to do that. He's messed around with this insane queen e6. He's got to be... I would be thrilled to have even a playable position at this point. To not trade pieces here is pretty strange. Okay, bishop d2. But white hasn't found anything. He's trying to castle queenside. Now knight takes e3, good. He's trading pieces. Queen takes e3, a surprise. I thought we were expecting bishop takes c3 here. But maybe there's something wrong with this move. Black has like bishop h6 check. Is that an issue? Possibly. There's also this. Queen a2. So there's a couple problems there. But I don't know. Queen takes c3. What does it do about queen a2? What are we going to do in the event of queen a2? We're going to play b4. Oh no. You gotta be kidding me. So there's queen c6 check. He said this is a miniature, but there's much more to this game than meets the eye. Saltigo would have loved this, like knight d7, c3, with the double threat of trapping the queen with bishop c4 and winning the rook on a8. And I guess white is just winning. What about other moves? Bishop d7, king d8, king d8, king d8, bishop f4. Hasta la vista. But it's not hasta la vista. Arnold had his operation. Bishop f4. Alright. Queen takes c3, queen takes e2. He sacked a piece, but he's, blundering. So you should have played queen c6 check, just taking the material. And instead he said it was a nice miniature. But black blundered. It should have been a nice miniature for black. He could have gone here. Now, how much compensation do you have? Not enough, apparently. Black snaps this piece and lives to tell the story because of rook e1. Queen c6, just the mundane move. Saltigo doesn't like mundane moves. Rook e1 takes here, queen c6 check. But now you get mundane when you have to. Now you're playing for mate in one, though. That is pretty. It is pretty, admittedly. Black can defend that with the knight move, no? But then rook f1 is terminal. Rook f1 is always going to be terminal. So it's over now. Yep. It's pretty, but it was filled with one big hole. Nice finish. Alright. This was what? Date 2016. Oh my god. This was from 2016. See, before you even knew me. Black was a 1300. White elo 2102. A slight mismatch. But anyway, we'll give you credit for a pretty finish. Okay guys, we've got 20 minutes left. I've got all the games that I've been submitted, I think I've gone through so far. We still have time for one more game if someone wants to submit a game. Or I've got this blitz game with Nefedov. I'm going to play the blitz game with Nefedov, and then we've got time, like 10 minutes remaining for one last game analysis. Did anybody submit a game that I missed? Please let me know. We had awesome support from Clash Kid and Move 11 today. Thank you guys. Tomorrow will be Blitz Fast Friday, just 5+3. What happens if we play e4 against Nefedov? Nefedov, like, did we ever have this move order before? Nefedov doesn't even play the Caro-Kann. What is he gonna do after e4? See, that's the problem. There's a hole in Nefedov's repertoire. We found the hole. What's up, guys? Alright. MJPLECN. What's up, guys? What's up, new peoples? So, we forced Nefedov to play the Caro-Kann. Now, maybe that's a secret new opening he was telling me about. That's the key question. Everyone plays, you know, everybody and their brother plays knight c3 here. I could play ed, and then, you know, one funny thing that I've thought about a lot was this. This is kind of something I made up, but we can try to play like a snake Benoni in reverse against the Caro-Kann to mess with people. It's not Weird Wednesday, but it feels like that. Why not just play the snake Benoni in reverse? Like, we have an extra tempo. This is something I would only reserve for like a blitz game. But if you want to confuse people who don't play, they don't play d4, and they don't play the Caro-Kann, they don't play the white side of the Benoni. We've got to put the opponent in an uncomfortable situation. Now I assume I could also go to e4. The million-dollar question. Should I go to c2? Only the shadow knows what the correct move is in that position. I think the d3 is overextending, though. Soltigo, yeah, it was entertaining because I know that exact variation. I was at the tournament when this guy played this against my friend Ivanov, and like I said to someone else today, I mean, you don't play risky openings really against, I think, higher rated players. You play strange openings against lower rated players that might trip them up, you know. But the stronger players, you got to give them more respect. I mean, they're stronger players for a reason, you know. Especially hyper-modern openings. I think strong players understand how to adapt to hyper-modernism. Beginners have a problem with hyper-modernism. Players under 2300 oftentimes will predictably overextend themselves. But grandmasters and strong masters unlikely to do that, you know. So queen e6 check, that's something you might mess around with against a very weak player. Okay, do I have anything better than the standard stuff here? I like the way that Nefedov is playing this. I've got to say, he's adopting a kind of setup that I sort of use myself against the King's Indian. I'm just thinking if I can play like b4 ever, not working here. Obviously, at some point he's going to hit h2. I'm going to have to move my pawn up. He could go like totally insane maniac style and meet h3 with like h5. Soltigo might like something like that. But I have to say, for Nefedov, for a player who doesn't play the white side of the Benoni, and for a player who doesn't play the Caro-Kann, he's adapted quite well here. He doesn't even play d4, and he seems quite at home with the Sarawan style formation. So this just didn't quite work out the way I had hoped. Error. An error. Maybe we can just go. We can go Frank. No, Frank. We can go. Want to say the Black Death. Who is the Black Death? Blackburn style. Maybe we can go Blackburn style. Nefedov, you disappoint me. I said error. I'm like announcing I made a mistake, but I think that 95 is just good for me and for you, isn't it? For me, you, whatever. Isn't 95 just strong? Did you just concretely miss a strong tactical resource, sir? Okay, now I have knight g3, but then he still has knight e5. So I have to play this, weakening my wonderful kingside. But this is kind of a classic how to get out of the unget-outable pin strategy. I've got to play knight g3. Don't play the snake Benoni, kids, and don't play it against strong players no matter what you do. Don't play it against anyone over 2400 FIDE. Govin Kurt, what's up? Enjoying the weather here in Budapest. It's gotten warm. Good to have a fellow Budapestian. You're not the only one. We have another guy coming to the stream who's also from Budapest. What was his name now? American guy living in Budapest like me. Nefedov sold his soul. His bad bishop chopped on g3. Time is ticking. Guys, I've got time for one more game. If someone submits a game to analyze. If not, I might have to like pick one of my own games to analyze or something. We got 10 minutes left. Queen b6. Artificially located. Artificially located at b6, but he's tying me down in a sense to this pawn. We're playing rook b1 anyway. I mean, that's a totally standard move. This is a move that we'd want to make in any case, supporting b4. And he doesn't have necessarily a4. The snake bishop. The snake is not really made. It's not really lived up to expectations here. I'm actually thinking about like queen d2, bishop d1. But his structure, where he's not pushing e5, makes life a little tricky for me. What's up? What's this about, this queen c5 business? What is this queen c5 business, sir? We're ready to roll. Roll with the queen side. Roll the queen side and get it going on with like b4, b5. Now he hit on a plan. Queen d6. Threatening to snipe a pawn. So we do have an issue now. Snacking on my pawn is not allowed. At the same time, bishop f4, e5. So it's almost like I'm forced to play g4, which is not a bad move anyway. We do have a certain amount of weaknesses, though, around my king side. Gotta be careful here. The d3 pawn is under attack now. Knight h4 is not that clear. Queen e2, developing a piece. I kind of like that. Maybe we can get a little bit of defense of the dark squares. We're also stopping f5 with pressure on e6. That's kind of one of my most important ideas. He's just lunging out with queen f2. The problem is that b4 will open up play along the a file for black. If I play b4, it's just like take rook a2, instant counterplay. I guess the threat is stronger than the execution. And kind of endgame is okay for me. I hope. But I'm not sure that white is better. But two bishops against two knights. Ooh, I can slowly outflank him maybe. This move may be dangerous for black. There's another one where that came from. Another one where that came from, and another one, and another one, and another one. Bites the dust. Alright, right, we're taking and sliding across. Classic Benoniism. He's almost ready to play e5 now, but he's like gonna lose his queen side if he does that. In the meantime, we have like h4, h5. Maybe not that effective, actually. I can just feel an exchange sacrifice coming on. But he's hanging tough. And I'm about to lose on time. Is F5 a threat? Are you threatening me, sir? Now he's got E5. My rook is sort of strangely placed. We'll make him declare a diagonal. Wow. I was expecting bishop f7, but in that case, things would have been a little different. Wow, what is going on here? Man, bishop f5 was an annoying move. I'm definitely sacking the exchange. Rolling rooks. Wow. The bishop on f5 ended up being pretty good. Oh. He lost on time. Not clear what's going on here. I went a little too far. I don't even like my last move. I was just making moves. I'm probably winning if I don't drop my d3 pawn. It's not even clear what I'm threatening after bishop a4. This was a terrible blunder. Bishop a4. Okay, guys. I've got like 7 minutes left. So Rabbit Chess and Saltigo. Rabbit Chess submitted another game. Saltigo put in one of my games. Let's look at this Derndatch versus Rabbit Chess, because what did he say? Rabbit Chess, Derndatch is here, so it's like a game analysis for him too. Interesting one, but I blundered in the start but fought back. This can be like a double game analysis. We got 7 minutes. Just a quick look at this Derndatch versus Rabbit Chess, rather than go over one of my games. Okay. Rabbit Chess submitted the game, so you know we'll take it from his perspective. Derndatch is here too. So e4, e6, d4, d5. We'll see what Roman Gingiashvili recommends against the French defense. The Perelstein variation. Knight c3, bishop b4, e5, and then c5, bishop d2. I don't know the origins of this move, but I did notice that when I was playing over Nesmedinov games, Nesmedinov also chose this in some game back in like the 50s. It seems to me like a positional move, you know? You just don't allow the pawns to be doubled. But actually Nesmedinov was a player who, although an attacking player, he actually played a lot of kind of closed positions and strategic systems, like the exchange variation against the Roy Lopez and the Rossalimo Sicilian. So this is not really an aggressive system for white, but it's like a safe way to play where you don't get the doubled pawns that are typical of the winnower. I think at the highest level, though, it's probably like allowing black to equalize. So probably like top professionals, you know, don't really play this variation for white because there's a like concrete way for black to equalize. Knight e7 seems to be the main line. Knight b5, bishop takes d2 check, queen takes d2, castles, and now f4. Everybody's favorite move in the French defense, sort of overprotecting e5. You mouse slipped e6. Oh, you never play e6 and you knew all this theory? Dude, that's lucky. I wouldn't have made it this far, probably. I mean, you're actually still like playing the main line. But here I guess you went off the main path. Surprisingly, the main move is a6. You would think that would be a mistake, like kind of playing... Okay, because it's the main move doesn't mean it's the best. 71 games with a6. Are there other options beside castling? No. I mean, if you allow him to check, like c takes d4, this is interesting. There's some good players. Lejki, Nagiris, who played this. So how bad is it if Nagiris would play it? He was fairly young back in '85, though. It looks like it's like technically a mistake. f4. Michal Schissen. He's a nice guy, an interesting guy, very, very strong, knowledgeable chess pro. Anyway, so you're castling f4, knight c6. I like knight c6 rather than attacking the knight for the sake of attacking it. You know, now a6, I guess we run out of things to do. Want to drive the knight away from d4. Another move here apparently is what? No, I don't know. Queen b6. Karsten Mueller. Ray Kaufman. Okay, a6 needs to be the main line. Landa against Marzolo. You're following a Raphael Vaganyan game from 1999. Jim Dean against Vaganyan. Where the heck did they play? A6, let's see, a6, knight d6, and then this. Just a classic positional mistake from, I don't mean to hurt your feelings, Robert Chess, but for the beginners out there, this is a really important idea. Most often, like we see it in queen pawn games, but it's just super important here. When you push c4, you're taking pressure off the center. And once we do that, it's like a free-for-all for white on the king side. If you push c4, there's no more pressure on the center. The pressure in the center keeps white honest, essentially. Keeps white from going all out with the king side attack. If you play c4 here, it's one thing if you're not castled, but when you're castled on the king side, not castled on the queen side or king in the center. So Tushar, you know, not being a regular French player, didn't know what to do here. But fundamentally, you should sense that you need to keep him honest. You need to keep pressure on the center here. So c4 is a really bad mistake. Now, interestingly, all the knowledgeable players played knight takes d4. This is a very strange statistic for me. It's a very, very strange statistic. Literally everybody in the world here played knight takes d4. Why is that? It seems like white might be threatening some kind of piece sacrifice type of stuff, like bishop d3 and bishop takes h7 and knight g5. Maybe Derndatch knows. Why is it that no one plays c takes d4, the most natural move in the position, by the way, and everybody played knight takes d4? It's almost like they're afraid to leave the knight on f3 on the board. So the only explanation would be that, like, c takes d4, you don't take back, though taking back is okay. The danger would be this, and some kind of like devastating sacrifice, like on h7 and the knight coming to g5. But white's queen is on the wrong square to set up mating threats against h7. White's queen would be better on d1. This is strange that there's so few games. So now we transpose to something. f6. So apparently this is known. Emanuel Berg Perelstein. I was there. This was played in Bermuda. Grandmaster B tournament. The end of my rating. I started that tournament with +3. Nakamura's stepfather thought I would make a GM norm. I ended up -1 or something. But Perelstein, one of the stronger players who actually plays this line with white, being a former student of Djindjiashvili. But apparently this is okay. It seems much more normal to play CD rather than take with the knight. But this is very bad. C4. Now you're just going to see... I don't even know why C3 is even necessary for white here. I would think you would just start launching an attack. For me, I don't even see C3. The engine wants to play C3 as well. But it seems more natural to me just start launching the direct attack here. C3, B5, H4, best move. H5. Now black probably needs to play H6, not to let the dark squares go completely. I don't know. But you can try to hunker down. That's played. It does weaken the king side more. Every pawn move you make around your king is technically a mistake, but I don't know. If black can let white play H6 here, he's just like smothered if he does that. I mean, it's just going to be H6, G6, F4, F5, Very, very bad situation, no matter what black does here. I think you're strategically lost, no matter what you do. Although, maybe you could try something weird like knight f5, objectively. This would be like a better practical try. Maybe knight takes f5, e takes f5, h6, g6, trying to keep the lines closed. It's not that easy for white to break through. So I think on a practical level, this would be a better try. You want to be sure there's no c3 for black, but I couldn't imagine c3. I mean, black isn't even well developed here. You know, what is really? No, I mean, his pieces are still like at home. No, I mean, once black plays like b4, you'd have to play c3. I thought you should wait until like he actually plays b5. You know, technically, I would prefer this order of moves. You know. Maybe going here and then here, but it probably doesn't matter, you know. I think that your last chance there is to play knight f5, though, Tushar. Try to trade the knight on d6 off. You've got to try to get rid of this. It's like killing you. You know, b5, here, 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 here. Okay, you also have knight c8. That's another way to try to do it. But with a pawn in f5, you could actually stop his advancing pawns. This way, there was no stopping the advancing pawns. This is over. Somehow, black hung in there. He somehow hung in there and got some counterplay going on. G takes H, B takes C, B takes C, and then the only chance, apparently. This is an amazing this is an amazing move. I actually tried to do the same thing against Derndatch in a Caro-Kann. I wanted to hide behind his pawn. So Tushar tries this. This is the only move that doesn't get like directly mated. And then bishop takes G6. Wow. I mean, feels like white was being too fancy playing bishop takes g6, and this actually turns out to make it harder for him to win. Because if you played h takes g6, black has to take back, and now you have an open file. But the way that, you know, actually you have two open files. You have the h file open and the g open. So it's kind of funny that the way that Derndatch played it with bishop takes g6, it sort of hurts him in a way, because he ends up being stymied by his own doubled pawns. And it might have made it harder for him to actually win the game. But this is a positionally, strategically winning position for white. Then I guess it got in really crazy time pressure, and then the result was in question. Black was actually winning later and lost. But anyway, we got the most important part of the game covered. The opening where black went wrong, and I think the rest of it is pretty crazy. So I've got to get going, guys. This was the last. This is the last game analysis for today. Stream is over. We're going to be back tomorrow with quick, fast Friday. You beat Naka's dad the other day. Where did you play Naka's dad? That's crazy. Naka's dad, yeah, he's a character. That's all I can say. It's not his real dad. It's like his stepfather. But unless you really know Naka's real father. Anyway, Sunil Werematry. So anyway, guys, I will be back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central European Summertime here. Blitz, fast blitz, 5+3 only. Thanks again to Clash Kid for a 5,000 bits donation. Move 11, 1,500. You guys are awesome. I will be back tomorrow morning. Again, thank you for the donations. Thanks for subscribing. That was the point of tonight's stream, to thank the subscribers, to help you guys improve. Give a little bit back directly to the subscribers, to say thank you for your subscriptions here on Twitch. Also, you guys can watch the stream reruns or replays on YouTube. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can support it just a little bit by doing that. Video chess training on YouTube. I always upload the streams over there right immediately after the stream. Anyway, Move 11, Clash Kid, everyone who subscribed, Tushar, thank you for watching. Thanks for taking part, you know, in our like chess club here, essentially. And again, Friday I'll be back. Sunday there's a long simul, 40+40, on lichess.org. So yeah, guys, lots of love. We will be back on Friday morning tomorrow and Sunday. Sunday 6 p.m. is the simul. So be there on time if you want to play a long simul game on Sunday. Thanks again. Thanks to Soltigo, our moderator, for doing a selfless job. Supporting us with great troll control and the moderation here in the stream. He's done a lot to help out, and I appreciate him. So thank you guys. My email, videochesstrainer@gmail.com if you need to contact me for something chess related. I will be back tomorrow morning. I'm going to get some rest, guys. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow in the AM. Bye-bye.